So they don't follow the business, they follow the person. Okay, what is your job description? The 5 things that you have to do is called pitch, publish, product, profile, partnership. Let me give you a quick piece of brutal honesty. Brutal honesty is that your business has a demand side and a supply side. The supply side is looking after customers once you've got them. The demand side is generating the growth, right? Generating customers, generating new relationships, getting people to be aware of the business and to get people to be aware that you even exist. 100 years ago, entrepreneurs had to solve what was called the supply side problem. So the supply side problem is, how do we make the thing? How do we create something? And Henry Ford spent all of Henry Ford's time focused on how do we make cars. And if you owned a factory 100 years ago, you spent all of your time thinking about how do we make scissors? How do we make cooking pots, right? Whatever it is you make. So that's called the supply side. It's called working with customers or creating the product. If we fast forward to today, the entrepreneurial problem is the demand side of your business. The thing that's hard is generating demand. Let me give you a thought experiment. If I had a scissor factory and I could make 1,000 pairs of scissors a day, 100 years ago, I could easily sell them. If I had 1,000 pairs of scissors, I would sell them. Today, if I go on Amazon, there's just hundreds of different pairs of scissors. The hard thing is not making the scissors. The hard thing is getting people to want to buy a pair of scissors, right? It's the same with coaching. If you're a coach, the hard thing is not the coaching. The hard thing is getting customers to want coaching. If you're an agency, the hard thing is not the agency work. The hard thing is getting the right people to want the agency work. So my brutal feedback for you, my brutal, honest assessment is that 99% of entrepreneurs I meet, they're spending their time mostly on the supply side, and they need to spend the time on the demand side. Your job as the entrepreneur that is impossible to outsource is making people want your business, making people want to buy from you, right? It's called manufacturing demand. So you still need to go through a manufacturing process. Your manufacturing process is the manufacturing of the demand. And brutal honesty, it's very hard to outsource this in the early days. When you hit about 5 million of revenue, you can bring on some amazing growth people. You can bring on a growth specialist, you can bring on a head of marketing and a head of sales and all of that sort of stuff. But these people want 100 grand. You know, you bring on those people, they're expensive. They don't show up unless you've got thousands of leads already flowing through the business. They don't show up to create the business for you. They show up to grow the business. They'll happily take you from 5 to 25 million. They just won't go from 0 to 5 million. Right? So it's very, very, very hard for you as the entrepreneur to just say, I want some magical superhero to come in and grow my business for me. I just want to look after the happy clients. That's not how it works. You as the founder, you as the entrepreneur need to be on the front foot when it comes to manufacturing desire, manufacturing demand for what you do. Okay, what are you going to do? You're going to be the one who pitches the business, publishes content, creates products, raises profile, and does partnership deals. Let's talk about pitch. So pitching, entrepreneurship is the journey of 1,000 pitches. Your job as the entrepreneur is to do those 1,000 pitches. The first 900 don't get great results. The last 100 get whopping big results. The truth is that if you're willing to do 1,000 great pitches, you'll end up with $10 to $100 million. But if you do 1,000 average pitches, you will end up with nothing. In fact, you will dig yourself into a hole. 1,000 average pitches, you will broadcast to the world that you are an average little worker bee and that you deserve an average little amount of money and that you're just an average kind of person and that you should be paid barely anything. So you will literally broadcast that to the world 1,000 times and it will be a hole that you have dug yourself into. 1,000 powerful pitches will end up attracting great customers, great team members, great investors if you want them, great partners if exponential. You've got to get comfortable with the idea that entrepreneurship is the journey of 1,000 pitches, and you've got to get good at this pitching game. Let me show you an example. So there was this person that I spoke to at one of our workshops. What do you do? I'm a licensed financial advisor in Brisbane. I said, that's a really boring pitch. Don't pitch that 1,000 times. I'm a financial planner. I've set up a new business helping people to invest for their future and protect themselves from financial risks. I'm qualified with a Certificate 4 in financial planning, and I'm part of an established network of financial planners that's regulated by the Financial Planning Authority. Now, when she gave me this pitch, I said to her, look, people judge you as soon as they hear what you say about yourself, and they either put you into the newbie bucket, the worker bee bucket, or the key person of influence bucket. It sounds like you're a newbie when you say that, right? I've recently set up a new business and it's doing this and I'm regulated and I've got a certificate, right? That sounds newbie energy. Okay, what about this one? I'm a financial planner. I help people to invest for their retirement as well as prepare wills, and I get the right insurances, and I've helped hundreds of clients, and I'd be happy to take a look at retirement planning for anyone who wants to. I say, that sounds like you're a worker bee. It sounds like time for money, worker bee stuff. So what we did is we explored her intellectual property. What has she got a playbook at? Turns out she's amazing. She's got a 25 plus years working with rural businesses, and she knows how to help people to do multi-generational financial planning for farms. And her ideal customer persona is people who own a farm that's worth millions. I say, okay, now we can work with that. I said, I want you to use this framework: name, same, fame, aim, and a game. What is your name? What are you the same as? What makes you famous? What are you aiming for right now? What is your big game? So she took about 5 minutes to think about all of those bases, and she came back with this. I'm Susan, the founder of Seeds of Advice. For 20 years, I've been providing financial advice for rural families who own farms. I write for the Main Farming newsletter and I speak at the big farming conferences. I've recently written a book on financial management for rural business owners. My mission is to make sure the family farm is secured for the next 2 generations. Now, as soon as she said that, suddenly she sounds like a key person of influence, right? Suddenly she's well positioned as a key person of influence. Now, the truth is that she went out and she pitched this for the following 2 years. She sold her company for a lot of money. She got appointed to 2 boards plus the board of a charity that she loves. She's appointed to a board of a $400 million farming family business. She's earning way more money, having way more fun. She facilitates workshops for these farming families, and she gets paid 20 grand for a couple of days to do a workshop. So her entire life transformed when she learned how to pitch the business more effectively. So I believe that you have inside you a play big pitch. And I think some of you, especially British people, who here is British? Any British people among us? Guess which one the British people go with every single damn time. The Brits are like famous for saying, I'll just do the small pitch. I'll just play down, right? It's like, oh yeah, I've won an Oscar, but I'm not going to mention it. Yeah, I grew a company from $1 million to $100 million in 3 months, but I won't mention that. Yeah, I've got a background working with Google and Microsoft and Facebook, but I'm not going to mention that, right? So there's a I'm going to and hope you notice me pitch, and there's a I'm not going to make you work for it. I'm going to tell you what I'm good at pitch. And I want you to do the pitch that doesn't make people work for it. See, here's the thing. As an act of service is to make people understand that you're good at what you do, and they don't have to guess and they don't have to work hard. They can just know that you're good at what you do because of what you tell them, right? Think of that as an act of service. Stop making people, drag it out of you that you're good at what you do. Stop playing small. Stop playing this game that I'll do a tiny little pathetic pitch, and hopefully someone will ask a bunch of questions, and then I'll surreptitiously slide it into the conversation that I'm freaking awesome. Right? Like I want you to make it nice and easy for people to discover you. People are busy. People are bombarded with hundreds of messages. Please just don't make people work to discover you. Make it easy for people to discover what you're great at, what you're the best in the world at. right? So that's what we want to do as a pitch. Now, as soon as you learn to pitch, the next thing we want to do is we want to amplify that through great published content. So publishing is your ability to put your ideas into the world through digital assets. So what we want you to do is create videos and publish them. We want you to create books and publish them, articles, publish them. So putting content out there. How much content? I want you to have 7 hours worth of content online. So if someone can run down the rabbit hole, there's 7 hours to run down. I want there to be at least 11 good pieces of content, and I want it to be able to be found on 4 platforms. I want 7, 11, 4. 7 hours, 11 interactions, 4 platforms. That is the evidence-backed amount of published content that will allow you to scale. I know 7 hours with you online. I want it to be easy for them to spend 7 hours with you online. Out of curiosity, who here has already spent 7 hours with me online? Like you've already watched a bunch of podcasts or read my books or any of that sort of stuff, right? Some of you have actually run down the rabbit hole. Who here has probably consumed 11 pieces of content, whether it be short form content or LinkedIn content, right? If you've done that, your brain sees me and you go, oh, I know that guy. I know who he is, right? Some of you are like, hey, we should get a selfie together, right? And you're like taking a selfie on the screen. Some of you are like trying to secretly take a selfie, right? Doing these ones. That's because of published content. You wouldn't feel that way if I hadn't published a lot of stuff. So you got to publish some more stuff. You got to get some stuff out there so people can build what's called a parasocial relationship with you. Here's what we want to do. We want to create a situation where the amount of time spent creating content is very small relative to the amount of time people spend receiving content. A lot of you think about your time as how much time goes in, not how much time is received. When I sat down with Ali Abdaal, we spent 2 hours together talking about business, but then 3 million people watched it. So there was 2 hours spent of delivered value, and there was 1 million hours worth of received value. So 2 hours delivered value versus 1 million hours of received value. A long time ago, I used to sit down and talk to people one-to-one. So an hour of delivered value was an hour of received value. Then I used to do boardroom sessions. An hour of delivered value was 8 hours of received value because I had 8 people in my little boardroom session. Then I used to deliver little workshops, little live workshops, and about 30 or 40 people would turn up. An hour of delivered value would be 30 to 40 hours worth of received value. Then I started doing YouTube channels. An hour of recording and publishing turns into thousands of hours worth of received value. Then I used to go on big podcasts, or I've recently been going on big podcasts. 2 or 3 hours of recording a podcast is 1 million hours of received value. Now, here's what I want you to do. I want you to stop thinking of your time as how much time goes in. I want you to start thinking about how much time gets received. And I want that number to get bigger and bigger. I want the ratio to go like parabolic. It doesn't go parabolic overnight, but you have to break the cycle of 1 hour delivered equals 1 hour received. And you need to go smaller groups, smaller videos, smaller podcasts, 1 to 10, 1 to 20, 1 to 100, 1 to 1,000, 1 to 10,000, 1 to 100,000, right? 1 hour in, 100,000 hours out. That's the power of digital. When I write a book, let's say 30,000 people read the book, right? It takes me once to write the book and then it's received 30,000 times. It's a good use of time. Right? It also leads to other things. When I give a talk in front of 500 people in a live event, right? It's 1 to 500. I want you to get those ratios up. The best way to do that is digital publishing, publishing stuff online. Okay. Secret desire that I have is that one day you write a book. I believe that the book that changes your life is not one you read, it's one that you write. We have helped hundreds of our clients write books. So this is Gabriella. She's standing on 4,000 books that she's going to be sending out. She wrote the book called Fertility Breakthrough. Her business has exploded after writing that book. Jason Graystone became financially free at a very young age. Everyone asked, how did he do that in his 30s? And he ended up writing this book called Always Free. Off the back of the book, he created some other materials and products. And basically, between the book and his YouTube channel, he did $12 million worth of sales last year. So, you know, an idea that was in his head, he put it into a YouTube video, he put it into a book, he made $12 million. Jason is a painful introvert. He just hates being in front of people. He loves never leaving his house, but he likes books because he gets to sit at home and write the book. And he likes YouTube videos because he gets to sit at home and create a YouTube video. So he gets to be a super introvert, but he still gets to have the impact of making millions and millions of dollars. Right. Now, one thing I will tell you about a book is a great product to give away. Right? It's a relationship building product. It's not a money making product. It's a relational product. It's a great status thing. It's a great authority building thing. It's not necessarily a great money maker. So it typically works when you've got a broader product ecosystem. A broader product ecosystem means that you don't have to make the money off the book. You actually just make relationships with the book, and then the money flows to other things that you've got. So this raises the next point. And the next point is that your job is to create a product and service ecosystem, right? A product ecosystem. So for every piece of signature content that you have, you need to create a product ecosystem. I want you to write down this sentence. Products and services don't make money. Product and service ecosystems make money. Right? Products and services don't make money. Product and service ecosystems make money. And the reason for that is because, business to grow, the key to growth is to remove friction. That's the key to growth. The number one way to remove friction is to give away value for free. Just give it away, like Google does. Just give the thing away. Make it free. In Silicon Valley, they love to make stuff free because it removes all friction and they get mass adoption. But then what do? They bait and switch. They then say, oh, okay, that's for free, but this is not for free. So Google says you can do search for free, but you can't have ads for free. Right? You can have maps for free, but you can't put your business on the map for free. Right? So they actually give stuff away for free. The key to growth is to remove friction, but this will blow your mind. The key to profit is to add friction. Now, the most obvious way to add friction is to put a price on it, right? To add money, like it costs something. Another way to add friction is to make people wait, put people on a waiting list, is a way of adding friction, or get them to fill in an assessment. There's all sorts of ways to add friction that actually add profitability. So here's the dichotomy. The dichotomy is that if you want to grow and be profitable, you can't just have one thing that you do. You got to actually have multiple products and services. Here's what it looks like. We have two friction-free products that they have a job to create growth. One product is called a gift, which is literally you give away value with no strings attached. And another one is called a product for prospects, which is the only string attached is that people register for it, that there's a registration process. So people might have to register for a free event, or they might have to register for a free download, or they might have to register for an assessment, or they might register for a sample kit, right? But they don't have to pay any money, they just register for it, right? So a gift is free value, no strings attached. A product for prospects is free value, but you have to register, right? You have to fill in a form. That's your growth products. Your profit products is that you have a core offering, which is a full and remarkable transformation where people get to change something about themselves through buying the core product. And then there's the product for clients, which is a subscription product. Now you need all four of those products if you want to have a really successful business. You've got to have a gift, a product for prospects, a core offering, and a subscription product, which is a product for clients. Core offering is typically a package, then a subscription, and it's the four of those that actually make that whole thing work. You don't want to turn that into a business unless you're committed to doing all four products. Now, people ask me, Daniel, how do you have 6 different businesses? because I've got 6 key ideas that have all been turned into product and service ecosystems. So Score App has all 4 products. Dent has all 4 products. Bookmagic has all 4 products. Awards App has all 4 products. August has all 4 products. So what we do is we take every core idea and then we productize the idea. So some of you like the idea of one day having multiple businesses. If you having multiple businesses means you have multiple product and service ecosystems. And for every business you want to have, you can just go gift, product for prospects, core offering, product, business. Okay, one of the biggest things for productization, this is where a lot of you are failing, is that you don't make it visual. So 50% of the human brain is dedicated to visual processing. We are visual creatures, right? So we need to see it before we can believe it. There are property developers that sell multi-million-dollar properties and all they have is a brochure. The property hasn't even been built yet, but they show you an example of what it's going to look like when it is built. They show you a computer-generated image of what your property would look like, and they give it to you in a beautiful brochure, or they put it on a landing page, or they put it as a video, and visually you can see what the property is going to look like, and then people sign up and they buy the properties off the plan and they haven't even been built, right? So people make decisions like this all the time. Many of you have not visually represented what you do. So for example, some of you have an agency or a coaching business or a consulting business, something like that, but there's no brochure, there's no landing page, there's no explainer video. It's not visual. And if it's not visual, people can't understand it. I know this makes no sense, but that's how people are. Here's a question I've got for you. Who here would love to get paid speaking engagements where you get paid 10 or 20 grand to turn up and give a talk, right? Wouldn't it be nice to get 10 grand to just go and talk at a conference? So if you would like to get speaking engagements, you need something called a speaking kit. And a speaking kit is a visual representation of you as a speaker. So a speaking kit is like a brochure, and it has a picture of you standing on a stage giving a talk, and it has a picture of like your slides, and it has a picture of the things that you've done and the brands that you've spoken for, right? And it has quotes of, we got this person to speak at our conference and they were great. And it's a PDF that people can look at and they can download and they go, oh, now I understand that you're a speaker. Now I understand that. Now that I've seen a picture of you standing on a stage giving a talk, now my brain will accept that I can buy that, that I can pay for that. Here's something crazy. Some of our clients have wanted to be a professional speaker for years. They've been doing free talks for years. They turn up and talk and don't get paid for years. And all we do is create a brochure for them speaking. And then they suddenly start getting 3 grand, 4 grand, 5 grand, 10 grand, 15 grand. Because they suddenly have a visual representation of the fact that they're a speaker. This makes no sense. Surely someone knows what it looks like to, like, imagine me and I'm on a stage talking, right? Surely people can put 2 and 2 together. No, they can't. It's only when they see it on a brochure that they go, aha, now I get it, right? I can buy this thing. If people can't see it on a landing page, a brochure, an explainer video, they don't connect the dots that they can buy that thing. Some of you are coaches and you tell people, I'm a coach, I'm a business coach, but there's no visual representation of you being a coach. So people go, oh, I struggle to understand what that would look like. So we've got to create visual representations, right? So every single one of these things, the gift, the product for prospects, the core offering, the product for clients, they all need to have visuals. They need a landing page, a brochure, a PDF, an explainer video. They've got to have all of those things. Okay, I'm curious, who's enjoying this? Who's taking some stuff away? All right, do me a favor. For some of you, I can see I've cooked your brain, and your brain is like, oh my goodness, I've got all these new things to do and think about. Let's just have a quick reset, have a nice stretch. Oh, Have a groan. Your microphone's not on, so I can't hear you. So you can just go, ah. Give your shoulders a nice little roll. All right, have a deep breath and just say, this is awesome. Whew, man, this is good. I'm going to smash it this year. I'm going to do so well this year. This year's going to be great. I'm going to be a key person of influence. I'm going to smash it out of the ballpark. I'm going to be great at pitching. I'm going to have facts. People are going to buy my stuff. I'm going to scale up. I'm going to publish a book. I'm going to win some awards. I'm going to smash it. I've got great intellectual property. I know who my ideal customer is. Awesome. Right? Okay, you ready? Let's do the last bit really quick. Actually, I've got time to do the last bit, or I've got time for Q&A. What do we want? Do we want Q&A or do we want the last bit? Okay, we want the last bit. I thought you were going to say Q&A. All right, let's do as quick as we can. I'll see if I can get a bit of both. Okay, profile and partnership. So here's how we build profile. We build profile with SALT, right? Your profile is your ability to be seen from a distance, and the way that you do this is SALT. SALT stands for social media, which means maintaining your social media accounts, builds profile. Awards and associations, winning an award, being associated with other brands builds your profile. Being involved in live events as a speaker, as a host, as a sponsor, right? Live events, and being on third-party platforms, being on other people's platforms does it as well. These are the big four for building your profile. SALT, social media, awards and associations, live events, third-party platforms. These are your big ones. So social media, you're going to have to be on at least 4 platforms, even if those platforms just signpost to one major platform. So you can actually use each platform as a signpost. You can say, hey, I'm not on Instagram very often, but come and see me on LinkedIn. That's called signposting. We need to remind people that you exist. They see you for the first time when they see you for the 11th time, and they forget you exist if they haven't seen you for 90 days, right? So they see you for the first time when they see you for the 11th time, and they forget that you exist every 90 days. You think you exist because you see yourself every day. But guess what? Some of you have got family members who have forgotten that you exist, right? Some of you have got siblings who have forgotten that you exist. Right? They haven't seen you for 90 days and they're like, oh, that's right. I've got a brother. I've got a sister. Oops, I forgot. Right? So you need to remind people you exist. Social media is an engine for reminding people that you exist. Stop pretending that people just are thinking about you. They're not thinking about you. If you don't remind people that you exist, they forget that you exist. So social media is just that little bit of a little nudge. Oh yeah, I remember that person exists. Fabulous. Okay, awards. So you need to be standing next to the brands that you want to be associated with. If you want people to think of you as luxury, you need to be associating with some luxury brands. If you want people to think of you as high performance, you need to be associated with some high performance brands. We also want you to win awards. Awards are a mental shortcut for people to go, oh, you must be good at that thing. So for example, oh, your agency has Investors in People Gold accreditation. You must have a great culture. You've won a creativity award. Okay, you must be very creative. You've won a customer service award. You must have good customer service and care about customer service. So we want awards and associations. Live events. Live events are a real differentiator in the age of AI. AI can do a lot, but it can't show up and speak on a stage, right? So one of the things that AI can never do, as far as we know, is give a talk. It can't show up and be at an event. It can't host a dinner party, right? So live events are very, very powerful as a differentiator. One of our clients gave a talk in front of 50 people, but it was videoed and it was stuck online, and 500,000 people watched the video, and her business exploded. Had she not turned up to the live event, she wouldn't have got that nice 30-minute video. 500,000 people wouldn't have watched that 30-minute video. She wouldn't have built a massive amount of revenue off the back of it. So live events can be leveraged. And third-party platforms, my goodness, doesn't life change when you go on Diary of a CEO? How did I go on Diary of a CEO? I worked my way up the podcast pyramid. At the bottom of the podcast pyramid, there is 600,000 podcasts that already exist that only get 0 to 1,000 views. And then there's a number of podcasts that get 1 to 10,000 views. And then there's lots and lots of podcasts that get 10 to 100,000 views. And then it drops off a cliff. There's only thousands of podcasts in your industry that get 100,000 views. And then there's only a few dozen that regularly get 1 million views. So the way that I got on Diary of a CEO is I worked my way up the podcast pyramid. I started out with 0 to 1,000 views, and then I did a few of those, and I got onto these ones, and then I got onto these ones, and I eventually got up there. Some people don't realize this, but I've probably been on like 200 or 300 podcasts over the last 15 years. It took me a while to kind of make it to the big leagues of the podcasts pyramid. If you follow a strategy and you don't just do it randomly, you can actually fast track that rapidly. You can really ramp yourself up by following a strategy for getting onto third-party platforms. By the way, every time you get onto a big third-party platform, it will be worth a fortune to you. So I estimate the value of me going on an episode of Diary of a CEO, I estimate at least a couple of million minimum. I just went on yesterday, by the way. Actually, can I ask you a favor? I just went on yesterday. It was my 7th appearance. It was a 3-hour recording session that we did, Stephen and I. And it was a little bit out of my normal wheelhouse. We ended up talking a lot about AI, and we talked a lot about the future and stuff that's hard to talk about because anything could happen. Can I ask you a favor? When that episode comes out in about 3 or 4 weeks, can you please leave a positive comment on that video? Because a bunch of people are going to go, you can't predict the future. Not everyone should be an entrepreneur. You said this. There's going to be so many people who give it the least charitable interpretation of what I'm saying, and they're the ones who always leave comments. Can you please, when that episode goes live, can you leave a couple of like positive comments in the channel? I would really appreciate that. I'll keep an eye out, and I'll be super grateful for that for that. Alrighty. Now, some of you are scared to get on a big platform. Your goal is not to be in the spotlight. Your goal is to become the spotlight. It is to shine the light onto your intellectual property. And it's to shine the light, sorry, I'll change. Shine the light onto your intellectual property and shine the light onto your customer, right? Make them the star of the show. Okay, final one is partnerships. Key people of influence, they partner up. They believe that somebody woke up this morning with the resources that they want, and they just need to structure a deal and partner with them. So you may want money, contacts, fame, know-how, time, credibility. All of that stuff is out there if you know how to structure a deal. I want to introduce you to my 2 favorite partnerships. My favorite partnership is called the Partnership Triangle. And this is where you put your brand with a new product with a new distribution channel, and you actually partner these 3 things around you. So you sit in the middle and you actually build your business by having these 3 things. So you find someone who's got a bigger brand than you. You find someone who's got more products than you. You find someone who's got more distribution than you. And then you elevate yourself by partnering with someone with a bigger brand, someone with a bigger product, someone with a bigger distribution. Nike gets Serena Williams. They work with Fruit of the Loom to create a Serena Williams t-shirt. They work with Walmart to sell that t-shirt as an exclusive through Walmart. And they just put together their campaign. And it works really, really well. So this is called a brand product distribution partnership. If I put you in the middle and I get you alongside a big brand with a new product, with a new distribution channel, that is a real game changer. My second favorite partnership is called a squadron. A squadron is where you find some people to fly alongside you, and you put together a group of people who all amplify each other. So this is Lewis Howe and Jay Shetty and Mel Robbins and Tom Billiard, and they're all friends. They all live in LA, they live in Los Angeles, and they all amplify each other's content. Technically, they're competitors, but they've found a way to be collaborators. And when you can find people who are kind of adjacent and turn them into a squad, it's way better than being competitors, right? Take the people who traditionally might have been competitors, turn them into collaborators, right? That's called building a little squadron to move together, right? So those are the 5 Ps. Those are the things that I want you to do. There's a limited amount of time to do this because AI slop is coming in. It's like the fog coming into the airport. If your plane is up in the air, you can keep flying. If your plane is on the ground, there's too much fog to take off. AI content is going to make a lot of fog in the industry, right? The final thing I want to say is that do not fall into the trap of the unfinished bridge. A lot of entrepreneurs love starting things, but they hate finishing things. An unfinished bridge is where you started and you put a lot of time, energy, effort, money in, but you didn't finish the damn thing. And because you didn't finish it, you have nothing to show for it. I have a hunch that many of you have got a lot of unfinished bridges. In fact, when we work with you on the accelerator, the first 6 months that we do is finishing off stuff that's already mostly done, right? We actually do the last 5% on a bunch of stuff. So like for example, you might have a very, very happy customer, but you've never done a video testimonial with that customer. We get that video testimonial recorded and put it on YouTube. All right, stuff like that. That's called finishing the bridge. Some of you have already got huge amounts of really great content, but you've not had a designer turn it into a beautiful PDF document. And it's like, let's just send that off to a designer and get it beautifully done as a PDF. Let's turn your existing content into a better signature content, right? Finish that bridge. So we spend 6 months just finishing the stuff that's already just low-hanging fruit, right? It's just ready to finish. You've already done 95% of the work. We just do the last 5%. Okay, I'm going to ask you, before we do Q&A, book yourself a one-to-one. The next step from here is for you to book a one-to-one to talk about becoming a key person of influence with us. We would love the opportunity to project manage you. I would love to project manage you over the next 12 months. Imagine you're an actor and I'm the director, and I can direct you to become a real superstar, right? It's very hard to be the director and the talent. So I would love for you to imagine you're the talent, my team are the directors. We're going to bring your talent out from you. We're going to be your team of your production team. We're going to put you in the role of just being the talent, and we're going to really amplify you up as the key person of influence. What my team does is that we actually have a set of things that we know work, and we just project manage you to get those out into the world. And we create an environment where it's just easy and effortless to happen. We've just invested a couple of $100,000 into creating AI tools that do about 80% of the work for you anyway. So we've actually created our own custom GPTs that do all the work. So what used to take, by the way, what used to take 6 months now takes about the first 6 minutes to get done, right? Or the first 6 hours to get done because of our custom AI tools that we've been building. So I would love for you to book a one-to-one so we can tell you a bit about how all of that could come to life. And I'd love to work with you over the next 12 months. So if that sounds exciting, book yourself a one-to-one. As I said before, not everyone gets through. We see about 10,000, 20,000 people every quarter. We work with about 600 people every year. So there's a huge, we're looking for a particular type of person to take on. Let me know in the chat that you're booked. That would be really cool. Let's get some questions. I'm going to invite anyone who doesn't normally ask a question, because you're normally a little shy, you're normally a little bit resistant about talking in front of 400 people. Pop your hand up and ask a question. Let's open up for some Q&A. Okay, Arlian, let's hear from you. Come off mute.
Perfect. Well, I just wanted to say, Daniel, that was really inspiring, everything you've been talking about. I'm 20 and I'm learning a lot and a lot more to come. One question I wanted to ask is, because I'm a communicator, been communicating since the age of 11 years old, all about how students in schools become young change makers in schools. And I wanted to ask, what's the silver lining between communicating your personal story, and is there a part where you're too personal? Because I've been presenting to schools where I tell personal stories and it really inspires them. But where's the key line? Where can you really inspire when you also want to inspire people to follow your journey?
So what you really want to do is reverse engineer action, right? So you're reverse engineering a particular action. So here's my thesis. The action that I wanted everyone to take here today is I want the right type of entrepreneur to book a one-to-one with my team so we can get to know you and see if you're a good fit for what we do and put a proposal forward. And my theory is that if I share lots of value about how we work, and that if I can show that we've got very clear strategies and very clear opinions about how we do things, that would be a compelling reason to act, right? So what I do when I put together a presentation is I reverse engineer action. I say, what would I need to know in order for me to book a one-to-one with someone? I would want to see this, 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 and this, right? If my time is valuable, I'd want to see these types of things, and I try and then work backwards from the action. So the difference between entertainment and influence: entertainment makes you feel a certain way, influence makes you do a certain thing. You change the way that you behave. So you want to say, you know what, I'm going to dial down the entertainment and dial up the influence, that everything in your presentation is building towards getting people to do something different. That they were like, oh wow, okay, I'll do something I'll actually take the cool action. I'll do the thing. Right. So just distinguish between making people feel versus making people move. Right. A movement, the clue is in the word, right? People move. They take an action. Edward, let's hear from you.
Hi, thank you so much. It's been absolutely brilliant, and this couldn't have happened at a better time. So, almost 50, and I'm finally realizing my value and where I sit with my clients. And I've just naturally been very shy of talking myself up. I am that Brit that sits in a corner and doesn't want to be noticed. Um, and I've recently invested in someone to just go through all my work, all my propositions, and tell me what I'm good at. And I've only just received the first sort of round of reports from that, and it's been quite a revelation. And your presentation here has just dovetailed beautifully into what I've
Nice.
received, and I've had a couple of light bulb moments about how I can present myself. And long story short is, I have a bridge between creative and very technical entities. I have an MSc, but I'm also an artist, so I kind of bridge the two and help
Great.
PhDs not lose the room. And that's the thing that's come to mind through your
Nice
call,
one.
is how not to lose the room. And this is something I could probably speak on. And one of the big things I'm doing within the companies I work with is also to how not to let AI trip the personal relationships up in a hybrid working environment when you've got hundreds of people, and all these things are coming together
Edward,
at the
just
right time.
curious,
Mm,
have you got a question?
I do.
Like,
Yeah,
yeah.
sorry. Yeah. Apologies. No, you're right. Absolutely. Sorry, I ramble a bit.
I
No,
enjoyed the TED talk.
yeah, thank you. Yeah, it's literally about going from shy and reserved into being bold enough to say hi to
Okay.
strangers, and anything you've done in your past that enabled that. Because right now you're a confident persona, but I'd like to know about that transition moving into that persona.
Yeah, two things. Thing number one is to see communication as an act of service, and that you're not bragging about yourself when you make it clear that you have a lot of value. You're providing a service, which is, I don't want you to have to work hard to discover whether I'm going to be of value to you or not, right? So as soon as I realized that sharing my accolades or my content clearly was an act of service as opposed to an act of braggadocious, right? Then I went, oh, okay, that makes a lot of sense. So imagine a doctor is sitting down with a cancer patient, and the doctor says, I want you to know that I've been doing this for the last 20 years. I've done or thousands of these per year. I've got an amazing team that we work with. We are passionate about getting you a great result. Um, every year, I engage in all the research and stay up to date with the latest trends and technologies because I'm so passionate about my ability to help you. Now, the doctor is not doing that to say, check me out, I'm an amazing doctor. They're doing that to say, you're in safe hands, right? I want you to feel good that you don't have to be scared, right? It's called having bedside manner. So when the doctor says check out all the things that make me a great doctor, they're not doing that for them, they're doing that for the patient, right? So it's an act of service. Imagine the doctor played the opposite role. They walk into someone who's sitting there and they're feeling scared, and they say, "Well, let's give it a go. Let's give it a shot, right? and the person says, well, are you a good doctor? Oh, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't put myself on a pedestal. It's like, oh, now I'm feeling nervous, right? I'm feeling really scared. So the act of service is to let people know you're good at what you do, you're passionate about what you do. The next thing that I would say is that I was once invited to speak on a big stage for the first time in front of thousands of people with Gary Vaynerchuk, and there was thousands of people in the audience, and the audience was quite set far back, and there were these huge lights in my eyes. And in the break, I stood on the stage and I looked up and I could hardly see, and I went, "Oh my goodness, I'm about to stand in front of these thousands and thousands of people. I can't." Nerve-wracking experience. And something popped into my head that said, every single person in this room has one set of eyes and one set of ears, and they can only experience me as one person. My experience is the crowd. Their experience is them being one person and me being one person. And I realized all communication is one-to-one. Everything's one-to-one communication. When I go on to Diary of a CEO and 4 million people watch it, it's actually just one-to-one communication. I'm saying something, one person with one set of ears is hearing something. They can't experience it as 4 million people. They can only experience it as one person. And they can experience it as one person. The only person who experiences it as millions of people is my ego. So it's only the ego that sees the crowd. It's only the ego that sees the group. Everything else is one-to-one communication. So I realized my job is just to have one-to-ones at scale, but I'm just talking to people one-to-one, right? So hopefully those two ideas help. Okay, Josh, let's hear from you. What's your question?
Hi, Daniel. Thanks a lot for that. Brilliant. I build hiring systems for scaling SMEs. We've just partnered with the fastest growing accountancy practice in the UK. Probably a lot of that is from the last couple of years I've spent with you on these and things and reading books. What structural changes need to happen from us for us to get from just under about £1 million at the moment to 5 million in the next 3 years?
Amazing. So the 1 to 5 million is typically a key person of influence who has a team of typically 10 people, maybe 12, and a bunch of tools. Josh, are you seen as a key person of influence for hiring systems?
In the area, yeah. I've been building that again for the last couple of years, publishing content, speaking, private dine events.
How many people do you think, or how many people roughly follow you on LinkedIn type thing?
5,000.
Okay, great. So you've laid strong foundations, but essentially if that were to scale up to 50,000, right, and you became really well known for having world-class hiring systems in the age of AI, and 50,000 businesses, and especially the right businesses, they start to follow you. So that's part of the process. If we could get you on more podcasts, if we could get you on more YouTube channels, it's a very interesting topic for business at the moment because AI allows people to submit for roles at scale, which means that businesses that put a hire that they say they're hiring and they get 6,000 inquiries, 6,000 people apply for the role. So they need these hiring systems. So, right. So you're in a position where you're talking about a hot topic, and then to go to 5 million, you're going to need to have what's called an executive team, right? So you'll need to build out your top 4 or 5 people around you. And then you'll probably need to have a broader performance team of maybe 20 to 30 people that you build up to as you do that. It all hinges on you playing that role of key person of influence, so that you want to get what's called overlings, not underlings. An underling needs you to direct them and needs you to tell them what to do. An overling comes into your organization and tells you what it is that they need from you so that they can maximize their performance.
Yeah.
Right. So we want to basically make the shift. Now, one of the things that's going to be hard for you as an entrepreneur is to do what's called crossing the desert. Crossing the desert is where you go from a small dynamic team of 12 or less to a team of 30 plus with an executive team. And in the middle of that, you're too big to be small and too small to be big. You're not yet a big business. You're not still a small business. So there's this weird phase where you go from too big to be small to small to be big. You make a few bad hires yourself, which will be so ironic because you'll be like, oh my goodness, I'm the expert in this and I did it badly, right? So you'll have all those kind of things going on. You'll have a couple of people leave the company who were there at the beginning, and that'll be weird, right? But there's this kind of weird transition point that you'll need to get across. But even still, the key thing for you is being that key person of influence, playing that role.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thank you.
My pleasure,
Appreciate
Marcella.
Hi, thank you, David. I have just a very practical question around, I'm not shy. I am more anxious about money. As someone who never had money, now I became a business owner. And I love your course. I spoke with your team, want to do it. It's a lot of money. How can I can't be the first person to overcome the anxiety of sort of investing in myself to make money, how to do it, and what is the kind of ROI, and how can cash flow improve, I suppose.
Yeah, absolutely. So, for anyone who's hearing that, to work with us across the course of the year, you probably need to put about 10 grand towards working with us, and you probably need another 10 grand to just do other stuff, right? Just like produce some videos or like get some stuff. So there's like probably 10 to 20 grand of just investing into becoming a key person of influence. So if you imagine that there's this project called positioning yourself as a key person of influence on a bigger stage, bigger scale, you're going to try and create a new asset. And the new asset is your personal brand. So what you're trying to do is invest into the creation of that asset. And realistically, to do it properly, the investment into the creation of that asset is about 10 to 20 asset properly. So then you've got to say, well, how much would that asset yield? Like what's the payback cycle on that? Like, do I want that to pay back over 12 months? Do I want it to pay back over 5 years? Do I want it to pay back over months? So for some of you listening, having a really great personal brand, you would easily grow your business by 20, 30%, and your business is already 500 grand. So like it's 150 grand in straight away, right? For some of you, it's like, oh my goodness, my business isn't there yet. I would have to really grow my business rapidly for that asset to pay off. So the issue that I have is that when you don't have that asset called that personal brand, that key person of influence positioning, you tend to have commoditized pricing that's not profitable. You tend to have a low level of leads coming in every week. So you will take on any work that you possibly can. You tend to not have the products, so you end up selling your time for money. So essentially, everything becomes tighter and more scarce, and it's really, really hard to then perceive what would it be like if I had this asset in my life where I renovate that asset and then suddenly that asset produces a great uplift in the business. Here's what I'd like you to do. I'd like you to really try and figure out your own spreadsheet, your own little calculator, right? There's the left brain and the right brain. I find that one of the things that some people do is they get really into their right brain, which is how I'm feeling about this, because I don't have a lot of data and it's an unknown decision. So one of the things that can change the way you feel is if you can get back into your left brain and say, let me build a forecast. You can use AI to help you with this. And you can say, I want to do an actual return on investment calculator to see if I got more leads, if I could charge a premium price, if I could have some products that didn't involve my time, what would that actually be worth? Because if you can put that on a spreadsheet, you can get out of the right brain emotion and get back into the left brain and say, this is a logical decision. Have you ever bought a property, Marcella? Yeah, right. So when you buy a property, you go, oh, okay, I'm going to buy this property for $1 million and I'm going to, spend 100 grand renovating it, and then it's going to be worth 1.6, and I'm going to make $500,000, and I can actually see the process. And you move away from fear because you actually say, okay, this is a logical process. I'm developing an asset that's going to be worth something here. And then by getting into that left brain logic, you can then go, okay, it makes total sense. So without going through step by step, I would like for you go onto AI and actually say, I want to build a cost benefit analysis. I want a logical framework for 20 grand, investing into building a personal brand, positioning myself as a key person of influence. What would have to be true in order for that to be a really good decision that has a very short payback cycle, right? And just move yourself out of the right brain emotion, move back into the left brain logic, and just see if you can build the logical case for it. And here's the thing. If the logical case for doing it is a real stretch, don't do it. Find another piece of low-hanging fruit. Find something else that makes more sense. Go through the process and say, like, I really want you to get to the point where you go, yeah, this is totally a no-brainer. I don't have to make a leap of faith. I don't have to put myself out on a limb. I don't have to, do something that feels crazy. It's like, no, this, all the parameters make sense. It's a no-brainer. This would be a good thing to do, right? So use a bit of AI to get from the left brain to the right, get from the right brain to the left brain.
Cool.
Okay, Jamie, let's quickly talk to you.
Hi, Daniel. Thanks for that. That's fantastic. I'll be quick. Currently just finished a couple of your books, oversubscribed, key person of influence. Currently reading the 24 Assets now, and I think where I struggle, I'll go with the hard pitch, like you told us all to. I'm a co-owner and founder of a exhibition company, turning over about $7 million annually, staff base of around 20 people. And when I'm kind of doing the frameworks and the formats of your books, we built the company focusing on the African continent, but have since diversified to kind of not put all our eggs in one basket and have some events in the UK that cover medical sectors, food and beverage, beauty and cosmetics.
Great, got it.
So when I'm doing the frameworks and things, I find myself quite conflicted because I talk to different audiences and industries throughout my industry, and I'll find myself answering some of the questions based on one industry, perhaps the UK beauty industry. Then the rest I'll focus on, I think, what my core IP is, launching events in West Africa, which not many people have done. But then I've also got a skill set of launching exhibitions, which the exhibition industry you find. So I bounce on one to the other. I don't really know where I should be focusing. So not sure if you can help me, but
so what we want to do with someone like yourself is really identify the steel thread. So there's a steel thread that runs through all of it. That's going to be the core IP, but it can be expressed in different ways. I'll give you an example. Richard Branson has about 300 or 400 companies, and they range from credit cards, gyms, phone, travel, hotels, like the whole lot. The steel thread is we shake up old industries, champion customers, and create a fun place to work, right? So if you look at all of the content in his books, it's shake up an old industry, champion the customer, create a fun place to work. That is essentially what the steel thread is that runs through all of the stuff that he does. Because he's able to become very clear about that, he's able to bring in people who become that plus the industry. So he can bring in a person who is his main person for telecommunications, his main person for airline industry, his main person who runs the gyms business. So what we want to do is identify, Jamie, your steel thread, and then position you next to your person who is you plus the beauty industry, you plus West Africa, you plus these different segments. And then once you can do that, you've now got a scalable platform. So you could say, actually, there's what we do, and we do it in 20 different markets, 20 different things. And now the business goes 20 different things times 3 million per thing. And it's like, great, we've got a $60 million business now because we understand how our platform works.
Okay. Brilliant. Thank you.
Did all that make sense?
Yeah, it does. Yeah.
Nice. Have a chat with our team. This is a complex problem that we solve all the time.
Okay, I will do that. Thank you very much for your time.
Nice. Very, very cool. Nichelle.
Hi, Daniel. So, founder of Generation Evolve, and we've created a middle way for a new UK education system for disenfranchised parents, disengaged students, and disillusioned educators. Our mission is to create an equitable education system across the UK by scaling up education villages. We've got a City AM campaign running. We've created a landing page. We've got 2 call to action buttons through Score App. And I'm bootstrapping all of this as a single mum with 3 kids with a great team and 3 or 4 really good partnerships, but just no cash right now. Why are we not getting loads and loads of interaction with the campaign through Score App? I'm missing something. I think I'm targeting the right audience.
Yeah. So are you spending money on ads?
No.
No. Yeah. So because no cash.
Yeah.
Are you posting every single day on 4 social media platforms?
Predominantly on LinkedIn, but getting there because I'm doing it myself, this bit.
Yep. So the virality with a new account, how many followers do you have on LinkedIn?
8,200 and something.
Yeah. So about 5% of your following will respond to any particular offer. So your kind of upper limit with your current following is going to be to get about 400 people to engage. How many people have engaged?
Through the Score App or through LinkedIn?
Through LinkedIn, through like LinkedIn into Score App, any of that?
Yeah, somewhere between 400 and 1,500. Yeah.
Okay. So essentially, let's call it 500. You've kind of hit your 5,000 threshold, which means you're going to have to branch into some new strategies. What's happened is you've just kind of hit a wall with your current following, right? You've put out content, you've done all of that new content. In fact, you've done it really well because you've got 1,500 people to engage with you. All right, out of 8,000 to get 20% of people to engage with you is pretty cool, right? So congratulations, you're doing the right things. But the truth is that all of us have our own personal pool of people who know us. So there's a few options for you. You need to now start engaging people who already have bigger audiences who want to partner with you, right? That's one thing that you can do. City AM is an example of that.
Like you.
Yeah, potentially, right? And then you need to create what's called a partnership structure. So for me to do it, I would need to know what's the partnership structure. How does it work? Right? A structure is a way that naturally attracts the type of thing that you want. So for example, if you sit down at a table and you want a glass of champagne, you can't put a wine glass on the table and you can't put a mug on the table because a mug doesn't attract champagne. A mug attracts coffee. A champagne flute attracts champagne being poured into it. There is a type of company structure that attracts investment, right? It looks like the right structure for people to invest into. There's another structure that invites people to do it from the goodness of their heart. And there's another structure that invites people to do it because it's rewarding financially, and that they want to engage that. So there are different ways of structuring things that attract certain behaviors. Right? So you need to understand how you would structure these types of deals. And then when we have a really big vision, really, some of you have got a really big vision, then you also have to ask the question, if this genuinely is a really big vision and it's a really big change that I'm trying to do, is it realistically something that I can rapidly grow if I don't have any cash behind it? In the UK, we have something called a Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, which is a very lucrative and attractive way for raising the first £250,000. It gives people a huge tax deduction just by investing into your project. So if someone stuck 10 grand in, they immediately get 5 grand off their tax bill, right? Or they get 5 grand reduction in their taxable income straight away. So if they're paying a 40% rate of tax, 40% of that first 5 grand, boom, straight off their tax bill. So that's called Seed Enterprise Investment Scheme, very attractive. So adding that as a way to raise the first $250,000, putting a value on your project of maybe 3 or 4 million, so means that you could raise $250,000 for less than 10%. So you need to sort of say, hey, look, what I've done so far could be considered proof of concept. And now it's time to leverage into the next level where I'm going to partner with investors. I'm going to partner with other people who've got the followings. It needs to kind of start looking a certain way for that to happen. Can't go into it all today because obviously it's a bigger conversation, but headlines, that's kind of what's happening next.
Cool.
And
Thank you very much.
well done on getting how far you've gotten so far.
Thank
Dan,
you.
let's hear from you.
Yeah, great. Thank you very much for the webinar. It was terrific. Very interesting.
Cheers.
Quick question. So I'm a productivity coach / business coach, but mostly working with people with higher income who are ambitious professionals who want to invest in the productivity to reach the next level, their top % of their company or profession. Now, you talked about exposing yourself in at least, I won't say, I don't know if it's the right word, but get a great exposure in 4 different social platforms. But my feeling for my type of target audience that LinkedIn is really the source that I should focus on, and wasting, quote unquote, wasting my time on Instagram or creating a lot of YouTube videos, which takes a lot of time and efforts for them to become, to be really high quality, maybe doesn't make sense. Do you think I can grow a business maybe just by focusing on LinkedIn, for instance?
How many clients do you need per year?
It's high ticket items, so let's say 50.
50. Yeah, look, LinkedIn's definitely going to have you 50 clients on there. I would still encourage you to engage people on video as well as in written post, because you've already got the content. If you've got posts that are being well received, doing those posts as videos or doing a few of them as videos. Here's the thing. The truth is, me personally, when I've engaged coaches, speakers, consultants, I really love to see them on video. Like, I really love to just get a sense of what they're like. When I see them speaking and I see them talking about their, the core thing that they do, to me, that just connects at a very deeper level than if I just see it written on a page, right? So especially a coach, I'm buying into you as my coach, right? So I kind of want to get a sense, what are you like? Who are you? Who have you worked with? What's your style?
So you're talking about video on LinkedIn or YouTube? What do you mean when
Well,
you
if you're going to create the video, you might as well stick it on YouTube and LinkedIn. By the way, you know how like teenagers have iPhones and CEOs of billion-dollar companies have iPhones? It's the same with YouTube. YouTube has got teenagers and it's got billionaires who go to YouTube. Like, I spend an awful lot of time on YouTube. I'm probably more likely to discover you on YouTube than any other platform. So, I wouldn't necessarily say it's a bad idea. If you're going to make a 10-minute video, 20-minute video, why not have it on both of those platforms?
It's just a lot of work. 10 minutes, even a 10 minutes YouTube, high quality every week.
I'm saying if you've created the video, if you've created the video, it's not hard to put it on 2 platforms.
Of course, yeah, of course.
Right,
yeah.
And it's honestly, it's not that much work. Like, these things, if you know your content, you're good at what you do, you could get up on stage and give a talk. How many times a year do you speak on a stage?
4 or 5 times a year.
Great. So you just simply make sure that you get someone to film it, and you make sure that goes on LinkedIn and YouTube. Right? You're already doing 4 or 5 talks a year. Get them filmed. Put on a microphone and have a camera in the room. Boom! You've now got your.
So you think I should do a weekly thing on YouTube?
No. I think you should. I think you should do your best pieces of content, and have a little bit of extra there as well. The other one too is making sure that you have a productivity assessment, because productivity is one of these things that it's very debatable. I might think I'm wildly productive, but what am I comparing to? The typical thing with productivity is that people rise to the level of productivity that they understand. They don't actually understand there are other ways to achieve productivity. Like if they knew it, they'd already be doing it. So when you create an online benchmark where you ask people to say, where you actually say, call people out and say, you think you're productive, but what if you could work 20% less and achieve 80% more, right? Wouldn't it be amazing if you did 4 days a week, but you actually got more done than you previously got done in a month? Like I'll give you an example. If all I do in 2026 is go on that Diary of a CEO episode that I was on yesterday, if that's the only thing I did, I could literally just stop. I could stop and everything would go well from there. I could just do that one thing, those 3 hours that I did with Stephen Bartlett yesterday, and 2 to 3 million people watch it, everything would just flow from there. I could take the rest of the year off, and that would be the only productive thing that I have to do to make 7 figures plus, right? So that's an example of extreme productivity that most people wouldn't even consider, what most people wouldn't even think of. But there are extreme productivity things that most people don't even enter their awareness. So if you create a benchmarking tool and you say, you think you're productive, but answer these 30 questions to see if you're doing this. A lot of CEOs who think they're productive will actually get a score of 27 out of 100 as opposed to where they think they are. They thought they were 78 out of 100 and they're 27 out of 100. Now, as soon as they do the productivity score, they go, oh, I'm not as productive as I need to be because I've just realized from taking that assessment that I'm leaving a lot on the table.
That's a great idea.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Okay. Look, I think we are at time, and I love the fact that you stayed right to the end. Thank you so much for joining right to the end. Make sure you grab that link before you go so you can book a one-to-one. You might still have questions. Bring the questions to my team, right? So if you had your hand up a minute ago, bring the questions to my team and ask that question. Whatever your question was, please write it down and take the question to my team so that they can actually answer that question and talk you through it and get that question answered. My team have been doing this for a long time. They got lots of great answers for you. So please do that. Yeah, fantastic. Okay, go be brave, go have fun, go make a big dent in the universe. I hope your business is doing well, and I look forward to the opportunity to work with you soon. All the best.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
Thank you, Daniel.
Thank you, Daniel. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Daniel.
Thank you. Very interesting. Appreciate it.
Good luck, everyone.